I am upset. And the breakdown now, we are branching out into other sports, but we're becoming a total sports podcast. And I'm upset because we're right in the middle of an NBA season that, honestly, if you just look at the numbers of this NBA season, is one of the most winning seasons I've seen in recent memory, especially on the Western Conference side. Like, teams are going to be the 7 and 8 seeds with, like, being 10 games over 500. It's crazy.
Yeah, wild.
So I'm upset because we have a little bit of the discourse discussions. LeBron is mad about how the discourse is around the league, and everybody is upset about, how LeBron is taking criticism and X, Y, and Z. I'm not upset with that. I'm upset that we live in a generation of analytic nerd ball. That's what we have, dude. And you opened my eyes to it long ago. But today we have to talk about this because it wasn't a nerdball analytics guy that said it, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe I heard this. But have you heard Patrick Beverley today claim that he thinks James Harden is a better player than Dwyane Wade because of longevity?
I did not hear that.
We're going to listen right now. This is Pat Bev.
Played with him. This might be like he's my homie.
I don't know. I don't think this is homie talk. I think this is like our brains have been washed. I think, honestly. And I hate to put this on my goat. I hate to put this on my goat because this is going to be one of those like, oh, well, LeBron's longevity. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And let's listen to the clip and we'll discuss why. But we're starting off the podcast hot with James Harden, D Wade talk from Pat Bev. I want your thoughts.
Steph Curry gonna play till he's 40. James Harden gonna play till he's 40. Russell Westbrook gonna play till he's 40. Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, these guys gonna play till they're 40 years old.
I like how he skipped Kawhi. Kawhi he had a double take on him. Okay,
Kawhi playing like he's 40.
Kawhi right now is 40.
Yeah, bro. What are you talking about?
Didn't he just get hurt again? He's been like out.
This is that.
No, he just got back. He just got back. Clippers are playing. Hey, hold on a second. The Clippers right now.
Talking Clippers.
I know.
Yeah.
You know who's not? You know who's playing like they're 40 right now, and it's really sad to see. We're going to talk about this today too. Zion Williamson.
Yeah,
that poor guy.
Well,
hey,
yeah,
But anyway, let's keep it here for a second.
Oh, we haven't seen that in the past, not at a high level. 84 until 1990 might be the best era of basketball players to ever play basketball collectively.
Let's stop right there. I actually, I don't mind that take. Because I don't know where he's going with this. I don't know where he's going with this, but let's just talk about that right there. 84 to 90. You're talking about the prime of guys like Bird and Magic, Isaiah Thomas.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can argue that's Michael's prime. I would say maybe the next 2 years after.
Yeah, definitely not the
but
prime,
Michael's
not mid-90s, but still like
he's
still
Michael at that point.
Arguably the best player in the league with all those guys.
I think he is.
And he wasn't even winning.
If by the time 87 rolls around, 88, I think Michael's the best player in basketball.
He was definitely the scariest and most dynamic individual player by the time 88 rolled around.
Right.
And he did like the defensive player of the year and MVP and like the 37 a game.
And we're talking about, I mean, is Hakeem at that point? Yeah. So I don't know if he's not still, like 92, 93 Hakeem, but he's still scary and terrifying at that point.
No, for sure. And Kareem, still there.
Still there.
His tail end, Kareem, they're winning. They're winning with Kareem.
So you're talking about a collective that when we say like old school Hall of Fame, those are the names we bring up, right? Now, granted, Shaq's not in the league yet. Kobe's not in the league yet. Tim Duncan's not in the league yet. David Robinson's in the league, or he's tail end of that, he's in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that. I just like to point that out because if you wanted to take like a 10-year span, I would say 84 to 95 is not a bad take.
Yeah, dude.
That's probably, or 85. Let's say 84, 85 to 94, 95.
Yeah, that 10 years was pretty crazy. If you like MJ's three-peat.
Or you could go 86, 87 to, or 87, 88 to 97, 98, because then you get Kobe in that draft class. That's a video we should do, like in a separate thing, because
that's
that 97 draft class, the
85, 86, probably from that Celtics team, that peak Celtics team, because then you had Detroit, Boston, right? You had LA, you had a bunch of teams,
Chicago, you had Portland.
And then into the 90s, it was
the
crazy.
Trailblazers were nasty at that point too. So anyway, this I think is a good take. Where he gets squirrely with me is the last minute and a half of this. I don't know how he gets from that to where we're going. Anyway,
talent-wise, skill-wise, competitiveness-wise, and I mean longevity, right? Bron, he's 40-year-old playing. I seen the comparison with James Harden and D Wade. While I'm taking James Harden over D Wade, it's only because longevity, right? Between those years, it was something that we got from the older generation, the guys who played before us. They play a lot. They don't lift a lot of weights, but they play basketball a lot. They get injured around 32, 33. They're never the same, right? So we took that as, okay, we play a lot, but we're going to skill a lot, which only is what the new generation does. They do skills, and not play a lot, right? I think between that 84 class into the 90 class, we were able to kind of plan a lot from the past, but also skilling a lot from the future. At the same time, medicine, right?
I'm confused. I think he means like born in 84 to 90. Is that what he's talking about? Because I thought he was talking about NBA 84 to 90, because that's a better argument.
I don't know if he's talking about that class of players that came in. I don't know. He did say the competitiveness and all that stuff in that time.
But he's saying we. He was not like, he must mean if you were born from 84 to 90, because that would include him, Bron, No, wouldn't include Kobe.
No, these guys.
But him, Bron. He's talking about longevity. So him, Bron, Steph. I guess Harden,
I see what you're saying.
KD, like these guys, I assume is what he's talking about. But Kawhi's not in that. But
he's saying that
he's saying the class of it, like it's the rookie class.
He's saying we picked it up. He did say though we picked it up from the older generation to play and skill a lot. But I think he's still talking about those players.
Okay. We'll keep going here.
ACL, you tear Achilles, you have a meniscus tear. It wasn't a lingering thing nowadays how it was back then, based off the health is and what the technology for health is. We've educated ourselves throughout the injuries that we've had and our peers done had, right? The future, this new generation, like, okay, cool, yeah, work on your quads. That's, it's mobility is a part of everything. When we had to learn it, it's different when you have to do it and actually learn it. I just played a game a month ago. I'm 36 years old. James Harden is 35, 36 years old.
Well, I mean, look at what Kevin Durant did last night against the Bucks.
36 years old. Right. Steph Curry, 36 years old. LeBron James, 40 years old. And I'm talking about guys that can still go, that's still going.
Chris Paul.
And he doesn't get a lot of credit. You're talking about the second oldest player in the NBA, played the most minutes for the Spurs, right?
Best 6-year stretch of basketball.
Players born. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So I don't agree with this. I don't agree with the best players were born in 84 to 90. I think listen, you've converted me fully to an old school basketball fan again. So maybe I'm a little biased, but let's just leave that conversation, because I was even confused about the premise of it. He said the class, that's not the class. That's just when people were born. But let's talk about this. James Harden, Dwyane Wade. People are rocking with this idea that James Harden, because of his longevity and I guess because of his regular season and one big playoff run performance, make him better as a longevity player or just in general as a player than Dwyane Wade. And I think this is absolute lunacy. What are we talking? How?
Yeah, I could see the only argument. I mean, the weird part is the longevity argument for James Harden. I think the argument for James Harden, which you could make, is his offensive peak. When he was averaging 35, 36, the offensive player that he was when he moved to a point guard style play under D'Antoni, and the crazy usage and his ability to draw fouls and the step back three, the revolution of the game in terms of the double step back or whatever, and just the weapon that he was offensively, the way people defend him. I could hear that argument about his peak and what he did on offense.
Sure.
Even though I wouldn't pick him over D-Wade because there's two sides of the ball.
There's so many.
There's so many things, but for me personally, we were just talking about this recently.
Yep.
An offensive player, as a scorer and as an offensive player, there's two different types. If I'm a scorer, I can score the ball on you without breaking down the defense, which means if I get back by you, now we create help, a double team or a shift in the defense. There's that, right? And James Harden obviously, I think, did that, but more so off the pick and roll. He obviously could drive, but it wasn't, break down to his defender. But I felt like a lot of his scoring or his shooting was he would do it and shoot right in your face. He's more that type of scorer.
Over the top
Carmelo Anthony,
sure,
a Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving type scorer, a lot of skills. But scoring over the top of the defender that's on him, get you on his hip, and then that rip through thing that they literally had to change the rules over.
Crazy, yeah.
Right? But off the pick and roll, great passer off the pick and roll as a point guard. all that good stuff. But I felt like Dwyane Wade is one of those scorers as an offensive player that was so scary because you can get by that first guy, and then he's attacking the rim, right? He's putting pressure on the rim.
You've always spoke about how important that is, dude.
You do that, now the defense is collapsing.
Eyes on you, collapse here.
Right. Now obviously you could shoot mid-range stuff, but it was like that flash was, bro, he's gonna hang dribble and then see you later.
Gone.
Now we're scrambling, right? So that peak of Dwyane Wade, but also I think he's first. Is he first or like top 2 maybe in blocks as a guard?
We're not even talking about the defense, but I just like to even this is the thing that frustrated me. You talk about how people affect winning. And James Harden in the regular season when he was cooking peak James Harden, when he was ISO ball, like the ball stops here, we're going to dribble, high pick and roll to the rack, like you said, kick the ball out, or get the foul with the long arm, go up, hit the foul shots, or step back three. He had everything. He had it all. But it was mainly in the way you talked about it. Like, I don't have to beat the first person to beat the defense. I'm going to go over the top of you, whatever. But it doesn't affect winning in the same way, because when you get down to, let's say, the regular season difference in the playoffs, we all know this. Yep. The game is called differently. The game slows down. Defense picks up. Fouls are not as prevalent, and the game changes. And James Harden ran into that issue. Yes, he had the one, I would say, the season that it could have worked for him. I think it was I don't know if it was 2016. No, it was 2015.
Some of that Rockets.
The Rockets, the Rockets, and Chris Paul gets hurt against the Warriors in Game 7, and the Warriors end up going to the finals. So that was his year, right? And he played well, really good in that series. But the Game 7, it was a struggle, right? So I just don't think there's any logical way you can. And I like what you said. James Harden, peak offensive player, almost impossible to stop. I look at him the same way I look at Kevin Durant in some cases. I was like, bro, how do you stop that?
Right.
Playmaker,
the assist, the numbers are crazy, dude. But again, I feel like the rules, the rule change completely. Like,
it changed his game completely.
Correct. And I feel like that's like, okay, so he was really able to figure out a cheat in the rules with that rip through thing. Yeah. And he was abusing it like crazy. Like, he was playing a style of basketball where he's putting, like Dwyane Wade, right? This type of player, pressure on the rim affects the defense. James Harden, actuality, what was he putting pressure on?
The officials.
The referee to call a foul. Like, it's a completely, and I hate that kind of game. But I still think he was obviously he was dominant. But like, it's a different style of play. As soon as they change that, now it's like they're not going to let you do that anymore. You're not going to get to the line 10, 15 times a game. Wade was getting to the line 10, 15
by going through you.
10, 15 a game. Right. The pressure on the rim, the attack. Now we're getting your bigs in foul trouble.
And not to mention people.
Obviously with Shaq, like when you had Shaq, that you add that kind of presence, both sides of the ball. It's just to me, it's just different. And like you said, it affects winning differently. But the argument for longevity is just stupid for James Harden. I'm like, you only argument you make for him is the peak offensive player he was with that, like Steve Nash, D'Antoni high usage.
What they argue, what I've seen is that people want to argue that James Harden he averaged more than 30 for like 4 years straight. And I'm like, okay. The game is played to win, right? the old quote, you play to win the game. That's what it is. So give me D Wade going for 25, 6 and 6, whatever the numbers are, but affecting winning in a different way. I don't want to hear that, yes, Shaq did have a massive presence to that 05-06, not only team, season, playoffs, but that finals, that playoff deep run the Flash was born. D Wade took the game.
Crazy.
He took the entire league over. It was insane to watch him, and that's where he became the Flash, the superstar, and really started to turn the eyes of like, oh man, this is maybe the third best shooting guard we've ever seen. That's how I consider D Wade, the third best shooting guard I've ever seen play the game of basketball. And then we didn't even
James
talk.
Harden at his peak wasn't even a 2 guard. He's a point guard. So
we didn't even talk about the defense. We're saying all this on the offensive side. D Wade goes 35 and 7 a game in the finals MVP, all that. That enough to me, even with that first ring, I'm like, this is what leading his team to a point where he affected winning so much that he won. Comes from behind, won. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing against James Harden, injuries, we get all that. Then we add in the defense. And it's not even close.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
bro. Not even close.
So I don't know.
Like James is the opposite. Yeah. You're talking about a guy, became a cone, lazy reaching, like letting guys go by. We're talking about like, yes, he's gonna get his numbers in a high volume 3-point shooting league where he's shooting the ball whenever he can. You like transition threes. Not getting teams. That's a big thing I'm talking about. Not getting teams or his defender in foul trouble, right? And then not stopping him from being effective on offense. D Wade was immediately like, whatever you had as a guard,
and bro,
he's gonna be wreaking havoc.
Even
it's way different.
Even the argument immediately goes to, oh well, D Wade played number 2 to LeBron. How could he be? I'm like, yeah, okay. First off, D Wade carried. I don't want to. Shaq was 13 and 10 in the finals. D Wade carried that finals run. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, of course.
But on the defensive side of those Heat teams, when somebody got going, Paul George in some of those Indiana series, Paul Pierce in some of those Boston series, D Wade was the guy chosen to go lockdown mode on the defensive side, whilst, yes, Bron went crazy offensively, and D Wade still went 22, 23 a game, whatever it was. D Wade was the presence already with that Miami team before LeBron got there. It became LeBron's team, but D Wade taught that man how to win. That's just what it was.
And that's why the team that's why the move was seen as so ridiculous at the time. Because it was like, LeBron's going to join D Wade?
Right.
Bro, are you kidding me? It was right. Because he already won a chip. The dude's an MVP caliber player. Like, he won MVP. Like, what are we talking about?
And also, and also, we've seen these same things because the argument, D Wade got Bron. When James Harden went to go re-team up with KD in Brooklyn, did we not all do the same thing? And what happened? Yeah, people got injured. Kyrie went down, but that was not the same James Harden. It wasn't.
No.
When James went to Philly
I don't like the
and played a season and a half with Joel Embiid, oh my God, he's going to be with Embiid. What happened? Not the same. He goes to the Clippers, played with Kawhi. Oh my God, is Kawhi PG? What happened?
Yeah.
Don't give me the great player argument because he's played with great players. He's played with Russ, KD twice, Kyrie, Kawhi, Joel Embiid. It's not working because he doesn't affect winning the same way. That's why. So I don't want to hear
Wade County,
this.
Baby.
I don't want to. Yes, man. Wade County, dog. I don't want to hear this. This is, and I hate being this guy because I don't want to shit on the new age basketball and all that. Like,
no,
but it's just
dope,
it's
not the same.
It's nonsense. It's crazy. It's like I tried to give someone the argument. They went, oh, well, his peak outweighs anything Wade did, like throughout his career. I'm like, no, it didn't. Just because
Wade's peak, bro.
Wade's peak was stupid, dude. I told people it was like
no injury.
I told
crazy,
people,
bro.
And maybe this is a little bit of a stretch, but I believe this. I told people it was like saying Derrick Rose was better than Isaiah Thomas because he won one MVP and Isaiah Thomas never won one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because of D Rose's peak was insane. Peak D Rose was insane. Yeah. But as Isaiah Thomas was 20 and 10 for 6 seasons straight, was a Finals MVP, beat Magic in the Finals, won 2 NBA championships, and ran through the hardest Eastern Conference probably ever.
Yeah,
beat Michael's Bulls, beat 4 Hall of Famers on the Celtics to go to the Finals 3 times. Won 2 of them. What are we talking about?
And what's this thing about injuries, dude? I have, what are they talking? I don't know what he's talking about in this argument about.
He was like the old school played basketball but didn't lift, and then the new school does skills, but we, taught
he's
them
saying
how to
they learned from that old generation. He's saying like we don't lift anymore. We don't.
He's essentially saying
y'all get hurt more on non-contact injuries because the way they cross train.
Yeah. I think he's trying to say that the old school taught him they needed to lift more. Because he was like, oh, the old school didn't lift. But I'm like, bro, did you see the players in the 90s? Like, I don't.
No, you guys just don't play as much. That's the main thing.
He was like, they played and don't lift. And I was like, the 90s, I don't know. What. Every big man in the 90s was jacked. Every small forward, every power forward.
They rest more now.
Right. You guys just don't play in the game as much.
And the game is also, number one. And also the space that they play in.
Yeah.
And the little amount of contact. That's not even just like not saying like physicality and they're tougher back then. I'm saying because they shoot more, there's quite literally less contact because if we're gonna shoot more threes and more perimeter shots, we are not gonna be going into the paint. You know this, bro. We show up to a freaking LA Fitness, and dude, every time I drive in, this freaking 45-year-old guy who's sweating freaking bullets is dropping elbows or like freaking closing out mad hard or like fouling, you're like, I'm going to become a shooter today, right? Because I am not going into paint because I'm going to roll an ankle or freaking get beat up. So
fools are playing football in there, dude.
Automatically, the longevity is going to be improved if there's more threes in the game, regardless of how physical, quote unquote, players are, because the game is a perimeter game. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure,
I don't know. Trouble table, we agree.
I can't take no love.